What's up, everybody? This is Eric LeGrand, owner of LeGrand Coffee House, and you're now listening to the Chop Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Thursday, May 20th, the last week of the Premier League season. We're going to talk any loose ends that are left. Liverpool, Leicester, Chelsea, who's going to finish in the top four. We're going to talk about Harry Kane, the team of the year. But first, Mike, who is the player of the year in the Premier League?
I don't think it's really even close, but obviously I'm biased, but I think we have two very clear and present candidates, right? And so my candidate is going to be quite obvious, but when we talked about him in the last episode, I made the reference to Star Wars movies. I said that every year the media does this, and it's sort of like another shitty Star Wars movie that comes out. It was an okay comparison, but I think I thought of a better one because I found myself wondering, watching the game on Wednesday, very, very, very melancholily, if that's a word, and I found myself wondering if Harry Kane leaves and he goes wherever. He goes to Man City, he goes to Real Madrid, he goes wherever he goes. What is Sky Sports going to talk about next? They have no fucking clue. They're CNN.
Of course they will. They'll make something up.
No, they're CNN. They're CNN, and Kane is Trump. That's really what we're at here, because they can't help themselves, and
they'll manufacture a layout. They'll do something. They've been
absolutely.
They've been at this for years. They'll figure it out.
That brings me to the player of the season. It is not close. It is the player who has the most goals. It is the player who has the most assists in the Premier League. 35 goal contributions. It is the one and only Harry Kane. And I hear the argument for Ruben Diaz.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a very strong one, and we'll get into why. But I mean, it reminds me, I've said this a lot this season. For anybody who's a baseball fan, there's a year where Alex Rodriguez won the MVP while he was on Texas Rangers. And that team finished in dead last. They were unwatchable. And Alex Rodriguez, all steroided up, bombed about 700 home runs that year. I believe the total was
53.
53? Yeah. So he hits 53 home runs. He's the best player in the American League by a comfortable margin. And
but baseball's different. Player. Baseball's different. We don't do that this way in baseball, in soccer. And
there's clearly one team that is.
The reason why I think that Diaz is the player of the season is his arrival is transformative for Manchester City. Yes.
No, it isn't.
Just hold on. Yes, the numbers change, but it is. You look at, there are things that are in advanced metrics, and I looked this up and I didn't pull them up, but things like chances created and goals given up on chances. City stopped giving up goals per chance. Now, the defense in the past was better on paper. They gave up less goals. However, whenever there was a break, City gave up a goal, and you never felt safe. The difference in City this season is, yes, the goals against is relatively the same, but the goal scored is not even close, right? City are 30 points less and maybe 10 goals fewer against. It's the way City could play. He transformed the way they could play. They began to be able to be relaxed, play slower, not have fear of giving up goals on a break. They didn't have to try and score all the time. So the goals fell down for the team because when they had a 1-goal lead, they got this. The other piece is, what is the measure of a leader? What is the measure of a guy in your team? Now, you and I are both stat guys. And yes, Harry Kane has had a fantastic season. The issue I have is soccer is such a team sport that the results actually do reflect the quality of the group. And Tottenham are getting worse, right? City had a worse season as well, but won the league and defeated the terrible, evil Reds. I just think he transformed the team. He allowed someone like John Stones. It's an individual award. It is an individual award, and that's the problem with individual awards in soccer. They laud team play for an individual player who represents the through line of that team for that season. And for this season, City being the best team, Diaz represents the change and the winning mentality of the team this season. And that's why he's going to get it, because he's the transformative player. Everything else was the same except for him. And
very much.
So that's why he's my player of the season. And the other piece is just the, I know it sounds objective and it's not really modern. Like, I can go through who scored and see that Diaz doesn't show up as the best defender. The best defender on the season is James Tarkowski. And in fact, Ben Mee shows up better than him because those teams are under attack constantly.
Oh, sure.
And those guys are getting the stats of clearances, challenges, whatever, right? But I know watching my team that defense is always the hardest thing to measure. It's why defensemen in hockey don't win the Hart Trophy. Hardly ever. It's why pitchers don't win MVPs in baseball. There's just or even in the NFL, defensive players don't win most valuable player. It simply doesn't happen because it's too hard, right? We just can't, we can't write the narrative and go, oh, blah, blah, blah. So what Diaz has is the narrative, whereas Kane has the clear forward, like, it's excellent. You can see it. He drops deep. He passes it off to Son. He makes the run to the back post. Either Son scores it or Son then passes it to Harry Kane. Like, it's there. The issue is that for me, Spurs, weirdly, of those 22 players, it was only Son and Kane, and everything else was terrible. And Højbjerg basically glued that team together. And without, I would argue that Højbjerg was more valuable than Kane in a weird way.
You know, crazy is that actually he was dribbled past more than anybody in the league by a comfortable margin. Højbjerg's stats are awful, and I saw somebody say if you put Højbjerg's play in Dombele's body, right, they'll freak out about it.
He also has the most tackles and the
he's
most.
Not the White Knight.
No, he gets dribbled past because
he's not
he goes.
Defensive midfielder.
Who? Højbjerg?
He's a midfielder. He's not the destroyer we make him out to be. On another glance, and you know what? And I saw it on. He was on a yellow card, and he just literally got turnstiled. Not even like it was a guy who made a move. Guy ran through him, and he's like, "All right, go. There's a shot on goal." I think it was Bertrand Traore. Yeah. It was something where I was like, wow, that seems to be happening quite frequently. But yeah, so I mean, look, I'm not, this is not, oftentimes when you get into these conversations and these arguments, you find one side is automatically disparaging the other because it's like, wow,
it's not a disparaging thing. It's what you value.
No, I know. Right. Exactly. And so that I'm saying the 1 and 1A, but for me, and that's the thing is that, so two stats, and I have to find the exact stat for goals, but so he's tied with Salah right now. I think Kane only has like 2 penalty goals this year. Bruno Fernandes has like 9.
Yeah.
I don't like he's in the Olympics.
I mean, I'm looking at here, goal creating actions. Fernandes is number 1. Kane is 2. I don't know what a goal creating action is, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
It's all midfielders except
I'm going to your favorites.
Yeah. But to your point, Højbjerg is number 1 in tackles and tackles won. So just out of curiosity. And number 1 in pressure.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I mean,
I don't know what that
these things are like, soccer stats are still weirdly in their infancy because of things. But you know, I love Kane. I love what he and Sonny did. I just found the experience of watching Spurs so dour that it made it hard to feel the effervescence and moments of Kane. It was always clinical, quick, and just like, oh, good, they got their goals. Now Mourinho's going to fuck this up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Try living through it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I did. I watched a lot. You know how I like to watch. I like to watch your team so that I can make fun of them.
Yes. But no, imagine the stat. So, okay, 35 goal contributions, right? We said.
That's a huge
Imagine if he actually got to play a full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like he'd be comfortably on 40. He'd be talking about the Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer range, right?
Yeah.
So, and I do have it up here. He has 4 penalty kick goals this year. So that's 18 goals from open play. I mean, come on. And frankly, that's kind of a down year for him, all things considered.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He never had more than 5 assists in a season. He had 13 this year. And that's you talk about how Diaz, kind of changed the way the City plays and he transformed them, right?
He did.
Kane transformed himself in real time.
Yeah.
Right. And we saw in one of the first games of the season against Southampton, they were down, I think 2-1 or 2-0.
They came back.
And he goes, you could kind of see it the last few years where he would just get tired of this shit because he wasn't getting service because everyone around him is a dope. And he would just fall all the way back to midfield. But the difference, and you saw it a little bit last year if you looked hard enough, but the difference this year is that he would turn and ping a ball right into Son, right into Delhi, right into somebody, and they're off, right? So because he would basically sucker the defense to come in. He did it to Manchester City. Like, so I'm
no Diaz
firm in the fact that that's right. So I'm pretty firm in who I think it's.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have our guys.
The season.
We weirdly both picked the best player on respective teams. Now Kane's is stronger. I don't think Kane will win any of the awards this year because for his team,
I don't either.
He's on his 7th place team. It's just not going to happen. So I'll do mine.
I think that's so broken logic, but he won't. Yeah, you go.
I'll do mine because mine has weird players on it.
As I get older, I tend to appreciate different things. One thing I love now more than I ever have in the past is some unique furniture. Not just any furniture, unique custom furniture made by Battle Rattle Woodworks. He's specializing in charcuterie boards for all those parties you're about to host when this weather gets a little nicer. Even better, if you enter the code CHOP15 at checkout, you're going to get 15% off your entire purchase. Massive savings on some unique American-made stuff. Help support your local veteran right now and visit him on social media at Battle Rattle Woodworks.
In goal, Emi Martinez, we'll probably agree there. At right back, I love Lucas Digne. I don't know why. He may even be in the wrong position. I just love him so much because
he's a left back.
Oh, okay. Well, then I got it wrong. Well, Cancelo can switch because Cancelo's both sides. So Cancelo on the right, and Digne on the left then. Digne, to me, is such a good fullback that Ancelotti played him at wing most of the season. Most of these fucking fullbacks that are offensive, they're just bad wingers. I give respect to Digne, and I really like him. I always noticed that that early period where Everton was playing well, it was because Digne was playing well, and when they were bad, it was when he got sent off. I just wanted to give weird players that I like some juice. Diaz and Dunk are my center backs. Yes, Lewis Dunk.
That's so predictable.
I love Lewis Dunk.
Everybody's own.
Yeah, I love Lewis Dunk. I love
Arsenal's Lewis Dunk.
Lewis Dunk, the owner of the 6th best defense in the league, ahead of Spurs. Okay. He's the captain of a Brighton team.
I think it's a good shout.
If they had anything resembling anyone who is good, they would be better. Now, to be fair, Lewis Dunk is not the best defenseman on his team. That's Ben Webster and Ben White, and then Webster is also quite good. But I just love Dunk. I've loved him for years. He's good for 3 goals a year. He shouts, he screams. He's my guy. And then Cancelo, who, if there was one player who was transformative for City this year, it was Cancelo in the way that he played. There were moments in the big run, he's sort of tailed off lately, where he would take over games, like from left back, from right back, left back, play in the midfield. And he was City's best passer outside of Kevin De Bruyne. And if you watch City, guys would go after Cancelo and he would tackle a motherfucker. He'd get his foot in. Now, granted, this week he got sent off, so there were funny things about that. Cancelo, I love. Conte, you have to have Conte as a sticks. I'm in a 4-1-4-1. He's the reason Chelsea goes. Without him, Chelsea are shit. They know it. We know it. And we have to acknowledge that N'Golo Kante is literally the greatest defensive midfielder in the league. Then across my 4-man midfield is Grealish out on the wing, Fernandez in the middle, playing the 8 with De Bruyne, and then Mo Salah on the other side, supporting Harry of Kane. So I think
it's really a 4-3-3.
Yeah, no, yeah, sure. It's a 4. I'm saying, yeah, I mean, it's a 4-3-3, but I'm playing the City style with the 4 attackers and the 1 up top. This is the way City won 100 points. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The only argument I think that is there is maybe you could argue against Grealish. He missed too much time, but he still led the league in chances created. He still led the league in like shots on target. Like he literally put Villa on his back along with Martinez. He's incredible. And then Salah, you could argue that Sonny should be there. You could argue that Son should be there. But Salah is the only reason Liverpool are going to make the top 4. And it's because he scores their fucking goals. Yeah. And when he has the ball and he's coming off the wing, it's fucking petrifying because he's such a good finisher. He has moments where his touches are weird and it's bad, and then Kane up top. Kane is up top is easy. So, Mike, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And so I have some of the same. And just one fun fact on Grealish while we're still on your team. I learned he was leading the league in another thing. He is the most fouled player. And after watching Wednesday's game, I know exactly why. He flops like he's Portuguese and Spanish.
They call it. He just does what he does.
It's starting. I'm hoping that it's starting to get the other way. But nonetheless. All right. So, yes, I also have Emi Martinez in goal. We have been singing his praises the whole year. There's no surprise there. I'll start at left back. I have I'm a big Luke Shaw fan. I like seeing him do really well. And I think he's had a really, really quietly good year for Manchester United. And I'll also say I did not have Joao Cancelo. And this is a subplot. We had a fantasy El Duchico in the semifinal of our fantasy soccer league. And the reason why Laurent and the aforementioned Chari, who actually runs the show, defeated
I have not logged into that team since.
Dude, my team went 30-6 this year. It was a juggernaut. I averaged 450 points, which was very, very good. And I came in around 299 for the semifinal because I started Joao Cancelo and he got a red card. So that was a minus 30 burger that I had to eat. And then they took off Ferran Torres. So I basically got hit in the groin twice by that. So I'm mad at him, and he most certainly deserves a spot in the team, but I'm not putting him in it. I also had Ruben Diaz. That's obviously no surprise, as we talked about. I paired him with Kurt Zuma. I think that he had really
for Chelsea
great
right now. He's the second choice.
No, he had a great start to the season.
He also scores goals.
He scores goals as a center back.
They go Rudiger, Christensen, Azpilicueta, 3 at the back.
Yeah, but like Azpilicueta's made of glass, right? He's right there. And like I said, he had a really good season. He was the only bright spot in the Frank Lampard defense, which was, by the way, the majority of the season. We forget that it was 19 months long, but so I put him there. Honestly, I did struggle with that spot. Lewis Dunk's a good shout.
You could have just put John Stones easily.
Could have put Stones. Yeah.
You wanted Zuma, huh? Zuma is a
I don't know why. You know why? I felt like I needed to have a Chelsea player, and I don't have Conte in my team. Not that he's not worth it. I went really, really full bore, which is why I went with a right back who does actually defend in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I have Manchester United fullbacks on both sides. Wan-Bissaka can't cross the ball. He can't. But what he can do, which is shockingly, ridiculously rare, he's a right back who defends. Right?
He's incredible.
Quick. He's really a good player, and so I thought he deserves the nod there. My front six, if you will, because I basically have a 4-3-3. The understated star of Manchester City this year was Ilkay Gundogan, right? He led the team in goals. And look, you can do this with a number of different players. The funny thing about Pep, and we talked about it in our last episode, is that I actually looked because De Bruyne was hurt for a good amount of time. And De Bruyne and Gundogan played within about 100 minutes of each other, which was kind of surprising to me by looking at the stats. But I do have both of them in there. I have De Bruyne because he's another level. So I have De Bruyne and Gundogan. I have Bruno Fernandes in there as well. And then the front three, I went off the board a little bit. I went with another one of Laurent's fantasy stars, Thomas Souček from West Ham.
You're playing him up front, the holding midfielder for West Ham.
I'm playing him up front. He's essential. I should have. In realistic, I should have switched him and De Bruyne, but I already saved the picture, so I'm looking at it. It's fine. So I have Souček. So and then basically we're playing that kind of very gelish like city formation where they're like, oh, okay, Gundogan's up in the front now, right? So like Gundogan's playing there, but realistically him and Souček are playing in different roles.
Yeah.
I also have Salah. I hate Liverpool, man. The goal he scored on not this past game, but on the weekend, I believe, where it was just a one touch from Mane or Firmino. He scores goals in such incredible fashion. With really such incredible. Seemingly such little effort. Yeah. This was a down year for him.
Those low black backlift where he's just like, boom. What the fuck just happened?
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's in the net. I would argue this might be considered a down year for him. I mean, obviously Liverpool.
The whole team was down. He has a lot of penalties, and he's the only one.
He has a lot of penalties, but he still is tied going into the last game of the season for the Golden Boot. So it's a hard argument to make.
He's
no
leading
surprise.
the league in expected goals. So he's actually literally right on what he should have scored. He's on 20.3 versus 22.
And it'll surprise no one who my striker is, but it is Sir Harold of Kane.
Yeah. I have a very quick list of guys that I need to bring up who I love and didn't get shouts in this group.
All right.
Yves Bissouma, central midfielder for Brighton. Incredible. Okay. If you watch him, you'll know why. Of course, our boy, Mr. Foden, a fucking legend, incredible.
So here's the thing. What can I wax poetic about Foden for a second? Because
let me just keep going.
All right, go to your list.
Mason Mount, incredible season, always incredible. Maddison for Leicester, a legend. I'll go through. I could pick a guy in every team.
He didn't play enough though.
Madison
didn't play enough, though.
Is a legend, and Mikel Antonio for West Ham needs a shout. No one in Arsenal. Arsenal had a complete abject season of disaster, except for Kieran Tierney, I would have. And then the entirety of Leeds, just all of them. I can't get enough of any of them. Yeah. All of them. I want them all the time. Wolves, I have no one. Shouts for the first half version of James Ward-Prowse, who was a legend. Shouts for Newcastle for Alain Saint-Maximin.
Wow, he really did fall off.
For Alain Saint-Maximin for literally saving Newcastle and being the most exciting African player, French player, whatever he is, since Mario Balotelli. The guy just has personality oozing off him. And if I didn't play for such a shit club, I might like him. And then, of course, at Burnley, Ben-Mee and Tarkowski, I'll love them forever. They represent Englishness at its best and represent their team really well. At Fulham, the center back Anderson, he gets a shout, and Tosin Adebayo. West Ham, Pereira, we're not forgetting about you. And Sheffield, you get nothing. Wow, I gave a little shout to everybody.
One you missed. A couple you missed there. Wilfred Ndidi. I wanted to put him in my team.
Good shout.
I thought he had a
really
good
shout. He's their shit Conte.
Yeah. This guy fell off the planet, but he was white hot through September, like Thanksgiving, right? Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a great season, but he just faded real hard in the second half.
Well, they changed the way they played.
Who else? Rodri.
You like Rodri?
Rodri, another. I thought he had a solid season.
I don't like.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like he's the seventh best player on City, and so we get that brings us back to Foden, and man, like when I was looking through it, it was funny because, like I said, Gundogan and De Bruyne really played a similar amount of minutes, and Foden was right there-ish, but he barely played in the Premier League, right? He had
but you expanded, and he's got 47 games.
Yeah. If you were counting all competitions, then Phil Foden is certainly on this list.
Yeah, he's 15-10 all competitions. Which is...
he's with limited minutes. And by the way, speaking of limited minutes, we would be remiss. Gareth Bale had some of the best per 90 stats in the entire league. The fact that he played as little as he did is another reason why I hope they put Mourinho in the cannon and shoot him into the fucking sun.
Yeah,
but I mean, he had a good return. he was hurt early. He was in the team and then out of the team. And that's the part that I'll never understand.
Yeah.
He was winning games for Spurs, and he was looking like the Gareth Bale of old, the weathered older version, obviously, but he was the difference maker in a team with Son and Kane. And they, for whatever reason, went away from him.
I think the issue was all Mourinho, and this is your point. He couldn't stand the idea of being a bad defensive team and playing attacking football. What Spurs needed was a coach to recognize they had a bad defense and simply go, we have a bad defense. Let's not defend. Let's attack all the time. Yeah. Be Liverpool and 2013.
It's the reason I was going to say. He's the reason that, he's the number one candidate for a lot of Spurs supporters. Brendan Rodgers, right? Ran that Liverpool team. He's like, well, take the over, folks. Like, we're going for it every time.
Yeah. So, there's no reason why. It's really frustrating. Just be a shit team that scores 80 goals and gives up 50. Like Tottenham sacrificed
better leads.
Yeah. Tottenham sacrificed so much to have a defense that's as good as Brighton.
Yep. Yeah. So
and that's an indictment. Like, just saying that out loud is just like, wow, that's fucking bad.
Listen, I had a really rough season, and that hurt. Okay, like I thought I was impervious.
Yeah, or like you said, yeah, maybe they would have given up 53 goals instead of 43 goals. Like Leeds gave up 53, 10 more goals and scored 3 less. And you would have actually had more fun going 17 and 5 and 15 than what you did.
Oh God, yeah.
They were awesome. Yeah, they were awesome. Now, if they were in 11th place, it might hurt your soul. But I have a couple more superlatives that I want to go through. Okay, so
let's go for it.
Let's say favorite crap team.
You've heard us talk about Jess and Sunflower Meadow seasoning for a couple months now, and as the weather gets nicer, business is starting to pick up. So right now, for a limited time, Chop Sports fans get to partner up with Sunflower Meadow Seasoning. We're going to create an exclusive product line just for us. We present to you Chop Sports Dip. That's right, it's a cheddar beer dip. And on top of that, we're going to create Chop Sports Dust, which is a Chicago steakhouse chop dust. Check us out in person on June 19th at the St. James Fair from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you mention Chop Sports, you're going to receive $2 off your purchase of $15 or more. Check out Sunflower Meadow Seasoning online at sunflowermeadowseasonings.com.
I mean,
and you define crap.
I'll let you have leads.
No, my favorite crap team is Brighton.
Oh, okay.
Definitely crap.
All right, so then yours, Brighton. Okay. Wait, I'm looking at last year. The table. Aston Villa.
Okay.
And it's funny because I wanted to love Wolves so bad. Aston
they were
Villa
too crap.
Was really. Yeah. That was a 7-point gulf between Villa and Wolves, and it feels like 70. But yeah, I'll go with the villains. Ollie Watkins, by the way, is another one probably should get a shout from us. Another really, really good, strong season for him. But
again, this is one from my team. They just make strikers. That's from Brentford.
Yeah.
They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's right. Yeah, he had been at Brentford. Neil Maupay had been at Brentford. And now there's another guy. Yeah. Pay attention to his name, Ivan Toney. If Brentford don't come up, he will be in the league. And if Spurs are smart, he set the record for goals in the championship at 31. And he is not fucking Glenn Murray, who was the previous record.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've been waxing poetic about Villa for a while. We went on and on about Emi Martinez. If you listen to the show, we love Emi Martinez.
Yeah.
So I have a soft spot for who probably could have made it in my team for no reason at all. Tyrone Mings. I just think
that's the center back you need. You need Dunk and Mings and championship.
Yeah, I love it.
Although I didn't realize Lewis Dunk is actually 29. Ugh, that's a little old. Yeah. I have another superlative, and I'll go first. Favorite player who's crap that actually thinks he's good. And my favorite player who's crap that actually thinks he's good is it's Gabriel Jesus.
Okay.
He is shit, and he complains, and half the time he's running and just falls down. And there's an easy one in this one, by the way, that's for your arch enemies. And it's just, he just drives me nuts. He's on my team. I'm sure other people, you know what it is? He's really just too hard on himself. And if he leaves, I'm done with him. I'll be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I'm done with Gabriel Jesus. You're not young anymore. You're 25.
From a hate watching perspective, it's Aubameyang, right? Like that's fuck that guy. That's the one you set me up for. I really appreciate it. From a not hating perspective, I think it's Dele Alli, to be honest.
Oh God, yeah, he does think he's good, and he's actually shit. Although I would have said Lindegaard, but now he's actually good, so it sucks.
Yeah,
I would have said Lingard.
Here's one for you. Definitely the league leader in big chances missed, Shea Adams, right? Because how many times did Danny Ings get hurt this year alone? Like 7.
Yeah,
like Southampton went out hot, and then Ings got hurt,
and then they collapsed.
Oh man,
and then they had another. Result we won't discuss. 9-0. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that went on in a season that was enjoyable. Watching Arsenal fuck up has been great. Although they can catch you. What is going on, Spurs? That Ryan Mason signing is a disaster. You're gonna lose to fucking Leicester.
Ryan Mason is playing his friends. And when Tanguy Ndombele came on the pitch on Wednesday, he did more in 6 minutes than Harry Winks has done the entire year. And I love Harry Winks, but man, it's not his time anymore, right? And so that's kind of the problem I find, where I actually didn't mind the lineup he had out, except I was like, well, I would definitely play Ndombele. And the weird thing about him is that about Tanguy, not about Winksy, is that he is so polarizing within the Spurs fan base, because he comes on and he does these like shimmy head fakes and he leaves guys in the dust and he opens up the field, right? Against a team that was just pressing and sitting back. And so, or not pressing, they were just sitting back and allowing Spurs to kind of do nothing for a while in the midfield. And so this changes everything.
Where are you? Moussa Dembele.
Yeah, no, he has a lot of those vibes.
Yeah. He has
a lot of those vibes.
Who can move the ball. Yeah. That's great. I have one more. The one player you want on your team more than any other player that will move you up the table 3 slots.
Can I just say Harry Kane?
Yes.
Can I just
yes,
keep
you
it,
can.
please?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. The player that I say for that is, I just want to see the fucking handsome golden streaked hair and headband and amazing tanned calves of Grealish playing for City instead of fucking Raheem Sterling.
Yeah. So he's on my list. So the two obvious sore spots.
It's so Grealish. Although I also want him to stay at Aston Villa forever and just suffer and be that guy who does that. Like, there's something to be said for being that guy. And then guy who's been, I have another one, guy who's been in a league and needs to leave and he's been on the same team forever. Mark Noble, check your bags, please. I'm done with you.
Who's this?
Mark Noble from West Ham. Just go.
Oh God.
Go
God.
away.
even West Ham fans are like, shh, don't tell anybody, but we don't need him here anymore. It's so weird seeing West Ham be productive.
Yeah, please go.
But he was such a bridge, right? And I fucking hate that guy. Mine.
What, guy that you want to leave who's old and on the same team and you're done with him?
Yeah, I don't know about the same team, but
I have a whole team
I would say yeah, you do the old guy team of the year. I would say it's like everybody on Spurs bench. Moussa Sissoko comes to mind, is the one where I'm like, I love you, but stop fucking putting the shirt on, please. I love Eric Dyer. I genuinely do. He's one of them.
All of
so much
deadwood can leave the league. I never want to see. I never want to see fucking Scott Dan. I never want to see Mihajlovic. I never want to see Van Aanholt. I don't want to see Guaita. Yeah. I don't want to see any of those all those, especially those white. I don't want to see McCarthy again in the midfield. None of those or Andros Townsend and his weird donut-shaped hat.
No, I will always love Andros Townsend, former Spurs star,
I want
not star.
all of
But that goal
to leave with Roy Hodgson and fall through the fucking moon door. I think we're gonna find out that because I think Crystal Palace has a crazy number. They're losing their manager, which is fine, but I think that they have 13 guys out of contract. Like they're either gonna disappear from the league and like disappear. They're gonna be like, you know what? We've been in the league 8 years. We're mid-table. We're gonna take our cash. We're gonna sell Zaha, and we're just gonna exit the moon door for a few years and then come back later.
Yeah.
So I could do without Crystal Palace. I know Burnley is your team. You could see them in the moon door for a while.
I would shove them so far down. One for the Aubameyang category.
Oh, the guy I hate, the guy who thinks he's good, but actually
Richarlison.
So good.
Fuck that guy. I hate him so much.
His fucking chicken dance.
Yeah,
he does think he's good. He does think he's good. He's actually in the same category as Gabriel Jesus, running hard, always all over the place, and then he takes a kick and it shoots it 80 degrees. He'll literally take a shot forward and it'll go backwards, or he'll the leg. Like they just fuck up, and you're like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
Richarlison, and I think that they're boys, and they probably like try and. They go to Brazil together, and they both
they're both Brazilian, and
disappear together. You know what? Gabriel Jesus, you can play for Everton, and we'll take Dominic Calvert-Lewin to be our change of pace guy.
That would be he would be so good with City.
Yeah, for those weird games where we need him.
Yeah, like 10 games a year.
Yeah.
You could play in the FA Cup with Willie Caballero and Ned or whoever the fuck you guys have now.
I don't need. No, we have Zach Steffen, bitch.
That's right.
Save the crew. Let's sort of wrap up where we are with like what's left, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is the last game of the season. We had a couple of midweek games that I don't care what actually happened. What sets the table is Chelsea, Liverpool, and Leicester are within 1 point of each other. Chelsea.
Yeah. So Chelsea's on 66. Liverpool and Leicester are tied at. I'm sorry. Chelsea's on 67. Liverpool and Leicester City are on 66. Now the important number here is it's also goal difference, right? So Chelsea are on 23. Liverpool 24. Leicester's on 20. They're in trouble here. What they effectively need to do, they need to beat Spurs, ideally handily, and they need Liverpool to lose or draw with Crystal Palace. That will punch the Foxes ticket
by a lot, which actually would be good. But that's
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea have to play. Who do they play? They play Aston Villa. So that's not a gimme.
That's not a gimme.
That's not a gimme. And so again, if Chelsea win and in, right, and they know that if Chelsea now, the other thing that we should mention, and I said it on the show. Same time, so there's no sandbagging your lineup because you know something that has happened in a previous game. It's all happening live simultaneously. It's actually pretty great. So you get scenarios like this. Now, unfortunately, this year we're talking about 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. But I mean, the squeakiest, bummiest time of them all was the Aguero goal, right? Where City scored 2 goals in stoppage time. And the craziest thing was on the other side of Manchester, United were sitting there just waiting for that game to end so they could celebrate their trophy, right? And so if you don't know this, you have to look it up right now. You can't see this. But Laurent is touching his nipples and they're as hard as little rocks right now. So he scores 2 goals. They win on goal difference. So yeah.
Well, they had a big goal lead that we had a big goal.
Anyway.
To win. So that's what's going on. Relegation's done. Golden Boot is still out there for Harry or Salah, who might win that.
Or Salah.
The gloves are good. I don't think there's any other major awards that are out there. There's Manager of the Year. We discussed very briefly before we went on. I think it's Moyes. Had he made top 4, it would have been nailed on. And I'll take a shout for Bielsa. Taking a team that had just come up after 18 years out of the league finishing in 10th.
The only other one I could hear an argument for, honestly, I could hear some. He's not going to win it, but he deserves for what he had to deal with this year. Jurgen Klopp, and Ancelotti did well, right? Like not bad, not great, but well.
Everton being in 8th is about where Everton is, though, is the only problem.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, there's a lot of.
Remember when we did a whole show talking about Ralph Hasenhüttl, and then they finished in 14th?
I know, but you know, I still think that he's still a good manager. I still think that they got decimated by injuries. They lost their center backs. Like, I don't think we were wrong. I think that Hasenhüttl on another team is still a good manager. Like, if he was the coach of Spurs, I think you'd be happy with that.
I mean, so you got to remember, like when he beat Liverpool earlier in the year and he started breaking down crying, and I was like, okay, I mean, we got to aim a little higher than that. Like, it's a big win, don't get me wrong, but like, keep the waterworks. And I'm not, you and I are both, you know, we cry every day. Yeah. We're criers. I think, as we said in our first episode, we're criers, folks. Yeah. But I mean, hey, keep it together, man. So he acted like that was a cup final. And that's, you gotta, if you're a Premier League manager, you gotta aim a little bit higher than that, especially at that point where they were like 4th or 5th. Yeah. So I don't know.
I do want to give one more shout to some nerd core standings. The expected goal difference per 90 standings are as follows: City
have it
at number 1, Chelsea number 2, Liverpool number 3, Man United number 4. That is the performance top 4.
Okay.
In 5th place, Brighton, because why not? That's weird. Then Leicester in 6th, Arsenal in 7th, West Ham in 8th, and then Spurs. Spurs had the number 1 positive goal, expected goals versus shots ratio in the league, because the shots they took were right in front of goal, and they got the best breaks in the league. So that was an expected shooting. They were plus 10 in terms of goals versus expected goals. So that's what helped them the most. But usually good teams do that with good strikers.
I'm going to go drink bleach before we go to bed.
No, it just means that you should. It just means to me that Spurs can't try and play like they did this year and expect the same results. They need to try and create more chances. Right. And that's why you lost, really, more than anything, was that they stopped trying to score. And we still have that to play for. And then the championship playoffs. I don't think we got to cover it, but I will cover it very quickly. We have Brentford down a goal, heading home against I forgot already. And Swansea up a goal. Yes, against Bournemouth. They did not play well. I'm disappointed. If Brentford don't go up, I'm going to be very sad, because it might mean the same 3 teams that went down: Watford, Norwich
City,
Norwich. I was going to say Norfolk, but that would have been wrong. Norwich City and Watford, along with Bournemouth, potentially could come back up, or even Swansea, who were relegated the year before. So it would just be like old friends returning. I would rather we get Brentford, who haven't been in a league since 1959.
And quickly, for anybody who doesn't really understand what the hell Laurent was just talking about, everybody knows by now that there's promotion relegation. The top 3 teams from the league in the first division, I should say, the championship,
come up automatically.
Well, hold on. So 3 come up, 3 from the Premier League go down. We are saying goodbye to our friends from Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United, as we talked about before. But so replacing them are the 2 top teams, Norwich, and who is the second team?
Watford.
And Watford are the first and second place team, respectively, in the championship. And what happens is 3 through 6 play a 2-legged semifinal and then a single final at Wembley, which is one of the most valuable games in all of sports around the world.
Worth, I believe, with the parachute payments over the whole, if you make it to the Premier League, I think it's worth $250 million.
Right. And so that game ends up being one of the biggest stories of the year, right? So I think is that next week?
That is on the FA Cup
promotion final?
No, it's on FA Cup final day. It's on the 29th.
Well, FA Cup final happened fucking last week, dude.
Sorry, excuse me. Champions League final.
Champions League final day. That's right. That's annoying. They should sort that out. But anyway, yes. So those 4 teams Brentford and Bournemouth, and who are the other two? You said
Barnsley and Swansea.
They're have played the first leg, and as Laurent kind of summed up there, but that's why, right? So, and I think that's one of the cooler things that happens. And again, what we specialize here and at Squeaky Bum Time is, highlighting the differences between the American sports landscape and some of the things they do differently over in Europe. And this is one of the cooler ones, I think.
Yeah, it would be like if, when teams tank, they disappeared. You can't tank. There's no tanking. So while European sports are more volatile and sometimes top heavy, all teams are competing to win. You cannot try and take your eye off the ball because you will be punished and disappear into the netherworld.
All teams matter. All teams matter, Laurent.
Yes. And even the black teams. I'm going to leave it at that. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We have been doing this for 37 weeks on Mondays and Thursdays. We are proud members of the Chop Network. I got to meet the guys. I'm so happy to meet them. And that is that.